Your business idea by itself is worthless, not because you're wrong, but because ideas don't create income. Problems do. And if your time and energy are limited, building wrong doesn't cost you money, it costs you your time and your confidence. So, in this video, I'm going to give you the one question that you need to ask before building to help you find out if your idea is worth your time. If you're new here, I'm Heather Blake. I've built multiple businesses over the last 25 years, and I've helped many others to do the same. Now, let me tell you about someone that I see all the time. She's smart, responsible, the kind of person that really wants to do everything the right way. We are going to call her DJ. She has an idea. It's not flashy, but it makes sense. It's something she's good at and something people already come to her for. So she starts preparing. She makes a spreadsheet, then another one, watches videos, saves posts, organizes everything into folders. DJ tells herself, I just want to be clear before I start. I need to know before I start. Weeks go by. Then those weeks turn into months. She's still working on her business, but nothing is actually built yet. She hasn't brought in a dime, but she's not lazy. And it's not because she's afraid of work, but it's because she never stopped to check to see whether or not her idea was something someone was already trying to fix and was willing to pay for. She didn't have conversations with people. She didn't validate the idea. Just quiet effort behind the scenes. And lots of quiet effort behind the scenes. She even was posting on Instagram like everyone told her to do. But yet, no money was coming in. And as it goes, life got busier, her confidence started to fade, and the idea became a maybe someday. Not because it was bad, but because it was never anchored in a real, urgent problem that someone else had in their life and needed to be fixed. That's how some ideas don't fail loudly, but they fade quietly. The problem wasn't effort, it was skipping this one question. And that one question that separates real businesses from expensive hobbies like DJs, it has nothing to do with products or features. It is simply, are you solving a problem your target customer is actively and urgently trying to fix? Question isn't about being smarter or who has the most ideas, who has the most followers. It's about protecting your time and your energy, and honestly, your confidence too. Because when we can't make sales and we can't generate income, our confidence fades as well as our time goes by. You don't have endless hours to experiment. You need to have clarity. It's not optional. And this question is how to build something that doesn't have to drain you. So let's talk about the target customer, because that is a big part of that question. Do you have an idea that your target customer needs in order to fix a problem, right? That it's urgent and they're willing to pay for. So who is your target customer? Well, I can sure as heck tell you it's not everybody, and it shouldn't be. I've been down that road before. When you talk to everyone, you sell to no one. There's lots of different ways of saying that saying. You are not just talking to everyone. You're just not talking to everyone. But you're also not talking to small business owners or mothers. That's too generic. You are talking to one specific person with one specific problem. Mothers with toddlers who suffer from eczema. It's not to say you can't get a little broader than that in some of your content that you create, but you need to be specific on who you are helping and who you are serving. Remember, like I just said, when you try to help everyone, you help no one. Specificity is not limiting yourself. It's focusing in getting clarity. Like I said, I have been here. I thought in my portrait business, if I was to talk to everyone, if I was to say yes to everyone, that would mean I am not limiting myself to just the specific customer. And I was wrong. My business grew when I said, I am not for everyone. I am not doing everything. I am going to only focus on. And that's when my business grew. Because I could talk directly to that person and not just try to land something with everyone. The second part that we need to break down in that clarifying question is actively trying to solve. Do you have an idea that actively solves a problem for your target customer that they're willing to pay for, right? So if we're actively trying to solve something, are they already spending money to solve this problem? Are they trying to find ways to get around this situation? Are they looking for hacks to get through this situation? Are they complaining about it? Because you don't want to have to try to convince them that it's a problem that they need solved. You want them to know it's a problem and you are the answer to solve it. So one way that you can go about this, about figuring out if this is talk to people, get into groups on Facebook and things like that. If you're talking to moms and you're in mom groups out there, doing like playtime with your toddler and other moms are talking about their child's eczema, you know that they're already complaining about this. If people are looking for recommendations on Facebook of products that can help solve their toddler's eczema or diets that they can use to solve their toddler's eczema, then you know that they're already trying to solve it. And if they're willing to buy a product, why not have it be your product? There are times when people will buy something because it's nice to have, but it's hard to build a complete business on items that are just nice to have. You need a reason for people to have them. Now you can create products like candles and like items like that, like gifty items, and you can create content or word things properly so people understand that they are there for a purpose to solve. You are overwhelmed and anxious. Well, buy this candle because of the sense that it goes off and it will help reduce your anxiety. Right? So that is a problem that you're solving. You just have to know how to angle it. The other aspect of this question is that they're trying to solve this urgently. Like they're not waiting, in 5 years, I'll find a fix to this problem, right? That's not what we're doing here. We're not thinking 5 years down the road, I can sell to this person. I mean, maybe 5 years down the road, you can keep selling to this person. Like they'll be a repeat customer. But we can't build a business on 5 years from now. We need them to urgently want to solve this problem. And urgent doesn't mean that they're panicking about it. It means that the problem earns space in their real life. Like, I have to clean my house. So I think about that on occasions. Occasions. Not as much as I probably should. So if you have a service where you're cleaning someone's house, that's valid because people are looking to solve that problem in their everyday life on a consistent basis. Someday problems will not build income. Someday I want to is not an urgent problem. And like I said, urgent doesn't mean panic. It means it earns space in their everyday life, in their thoughts, as they go about their daily routine. I need to get healthier because I want to be able to run around with the kids. I need to lose 10 pounds so I can fit into that dress that I had that I want to wear to my niece's wedding. Those are things that earn space in people's minds. So, in order to answer this question, you need to do discovery. You need to do some research. The best way is by talking to real people that fit your target customer. Now, you might find that this person does not have an urgent need, but if you tweak your target customer, they do have an urgent need, or you might find absolutely this person does. This target customer, how I thought, has this need. So the ways to go about this is by talking to people, whether in real life or online. You can do it either way. You can also go into comments on Reddit or comments on YouTube channels that are similar to what you are doing. And you can look at that and see if people identify with these things. Facebook is one of my favorite places to do this. And you're not going to pitch the person. You're not going to try to sell them anything. Your job is to listen to them or to read what they tell you when they answer your question. If you are going to talk to friends and family, like if you're going to do it right on your profile page on your Facebook, only actually take for real information as your research friends and family who are willing to be blunt and honest with you. Because if everyone says yes, then that's not helpful. So strangers are a great way to do it. And I find those a lot in Facebook groups. But I have done things like if I asked you to pay $100 for this service, would you be willing to do it? Why? Why not? Or what would you want me to do differently? I've done things like that on my Facebook, and I've done them sometimes as just research for a product that I am creating or a video that I'm creating. And other times I've done it because I am researching for my own business. And if people come back to you and say, yes, I'd be willing to, so would you be willing to talk to me a little bit further? Whether you get into the chat and you're typing, or you have a FaceTime call, a Zoom call, you actually meet up for coffee in real life, whatever it is, you can then talk to them more about it. You can learn more. Okay, so why is this so important to you? Why is this not important to you? What aspect of this is more important to you? If I could offer you something additional on top of this, what would you want me to add? What would you want me to offer you? And just listen. Stop talking and listen. Watch their body language as they answer you if you can see them in real life. That is huge. If you can read someone's body language to see, oh, this is weighing on them, or wow, that would be a huge relief to them. That's big. That's huge. That matters. So in person or on Zoom, FaceTime is the best way to do that. But if you can't, then through a chat, through text, something like that will work as well. So your goal is to talk to the people that already have the problem you want to solve. So if you're going to make this post, attention moms who have a toddler with eczema. Right? So now anyone that is not a mom with a toddler with eczema can just dismiss themselves. If you know the person, if you can talk to them, like if you see them already complaining about it in the chat, looking for recommendations, looking for help, they're already complaining about it and you can ask them a question. Or you can say, I'm actually working on something to solve this problem. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions? One of the things you can ask is, how much would you spend on a product that would do this for you? If there was a product between this range and this range, would you be willing to spend money on that? Yes, I would, or no, that's just a little out of my price range. That's another thing that will help you, decide whether or not that target customer is your target customer. If your target customer is like, no, that's too expensive, then maybe you need to adjust your target customer. Moms who make over a certain income, would be more likely to buy, you know? So these are the things that you just need to go with, because sometimes your idea is great and you're spot on, but sometimes there's something you need to tweak. And rarely do I find that you need to just completely scrap something altogether, but there are times when that might be the case. But most of the time, it's something you're tweaking. Maybe it's your price point you need to tweak. Maybe it is your target customer that you need to tweak. Maybe it's how you provide your product or your service that you need to tweak. Maybe it's not that they want, we'll keep going with the moms with eczema, with children with eczema, toddlers with eczema. It might not be that they want a monthly subscription product. Maybe it's they want to receive it every 3 months. Right? So tweaking that, because once a month is a headache to them to have to worry about constantly having it. But if they got it every 3 months and knew that it would last them longer, they'd be willing to spend the money. So just know, when you ask yourself this question, do I have an idea, a service, a product that my target customer is actually actively trying to solve? When you're figuring this out, just know it might not be wrong. You might have to tweak. You're not asking them questions because you're asking for permission to sell something. You're not asking these questions because you need validation to sell something. You are collecting evidence. So do not take this in any way, shape, or form as a negative. You are using this evidence, the data that you are gathering, like a scientist, like a crime detective who is trying to put together and solve a case. No information is bad, no information is good. It is only going to help you shape who you talk to, how you sell your product, the angles that you go for, the price point. It's all evidence and how you should sell and promote your product. When a detective is working a case, they're not asking people that they're interviewing for their theory. They're not asking permission to know that their theory they already have is right. They're gathering evidence. They talk to witnesses. They look for patterns. They follow what's already happening in real life. And once that evidence is clear, then the conclusion is obvious. That is exactly what you are doing when you are talking to customers. Not looking for validation, you're building your case. So just a couple bullet points here when interviewing and talking to people for your discovery and your evidence building. Do not ask them to give you hypotheticals. Do not give them hypotheticals. Like, give them things that can actually happen and ask for things for them to give you stuff that actually happens. So no, well, if this were to happen, what would you then think that you might do? You want them to actually give you real, honest answers and ask about real behaviors, real thoughts. Tell me about the last time, tell me about the last time your son had an eczema flare up. What happened? How did it make you feel? What did that kind of stuff. What have you tried? When that happened, what did you try to solve the problem? They might tell you that they changed their diet. They might tell you that they tried different creams. They might tell you all these different things. So those are 2 questions that take you out of hypotheticals that really, really help. Tell me about the last time. What have you already tried? Once you ask these questions, zip it and listen. What they're going to give you will be gold. Listen to find out how it felt to them. If they don't give you that information, you can always ask. Listen for how they tried to work around it or what they spent their money on. If they don't give you that specific information, you can draw it out of them, just like a detective would in an interview. Well, no good cop, bad cop though. Look for patterns, from person to person to person that you're talking to. Those are more important than your gut feeling. That's how you stop overthinking everything and stop getting stuck in, I just need to learn more. I just need to figure this out. That's how my business will be successful. If you can just look at the patterns and get the information and the evidence to build your case, you can stop overthinking it. If you find any of this helpful, please hit the like button. It will help others to find this content so I can help them too. Your next step after you ask this question is to do some validation. You're going to test. You could ask the people that you talk to, well, once I decide what my product is, how I'm delivering it, this and that, would you be willing to have me come and do the service for you? Or would you be willing to let me to come back to you and present it to you? Depending on what you're doing, right? You don't have to have some big beta test, some big prototype, but you just need to kind of test the water. Once you have all that information, you develop your product and you clear up your product and you just start testing it. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can adjust it. You test the outcomes, not the features. So if people aren't quite getting the outcome you want or not getting it or the outcome they want, if things aren't quite working the way you're delivering it, things like that, you test that out. That helps you shape your product to become your product or your service to become what they need to become. That is how you start creating a clear, consistent income. Back to our story that we talked about with DJ, she didn't struggle because she wasn't capable of an idea or creating a business and working hard. She struggled because she skipped that step. She didn't skip effort. She didn't skip commitment, but clarity. She did everything that looked responsible, planning, learning, preparing, but she never paused long enough to answer the one question that turns effort into progress. So now the question is, ask yourself, are you pausing to find out? Are you solving the problem that your target customer is actively and urgently trying to solve? That question isn't just about your business. It's about protecting your energy, your time, and your confidence. When you treat the process like a detective who's looking for evidence, not permission, the answers become clear. And clarity changes everything for a business owner. So build your case, then build your business. If you want guidance to help you build a business you can be proud of, please make sure to subscribe. And if you want help to build that business step by step, check out this video.